Hi, patrons. Welcome.
Hi, patrons.
Yes, we're doing our first Ask Me Anything. This is the Paper Canoe Company. I'm Greg, as you may or may not know. And of course, everybody knows Tami.
Not everybody, but probably by now they do.
She's usually the face of the franchise. You have pulled me out of the shadows to do this Ask Me Anything, which is fun, I guess. And so we're really excited to do this. It's the first one we've done. Our first question, of course, comes from Rusty, who is actually one of our very first patrons,
Rusty.
Other than like my mother, right? So Rusty's been with us longer
Since
than anybody.
the beginning, on this whole journey, really patient,
Yeah.
so supportive.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rusty.
Thanks, Rusty, also for a great question. So we're just going to dive in. Rusty's question, which parts of making the film pleasantly surprised you the most? As in, was anything dramatically easier than you expected to be, or something you thought would be a drag turned out to be fun? That's an awesome question. Tami, you want to go first?
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, the casting was by far the thing that surprised me the most in terms of how easy it was. I thought that process would be a lot more challenging.
Well, we cast ourselves. That was actually pretty easy to do.
Because
nobody could tell us no.
No,
so that was really easy.
Other people. So, initially when we first sent the script out, Christopher Lloyd and Sean Astin signed on almost immediately.
And then we knew we had to make a movie, and I forced my friend Michael to be in it too.
Right. So that part of the casting was surprisingly easy. And then when we were in Scotland and we had to add all the additional cast members, we just had an incredible casting agent who had an amazing contact list, but also not just that, she really understood the roles and she really understood the story. Yeah. And I don't know, it was like alchemy. She brought these different actors together and they didn't know each other. And within 30 minutes,
chemistry was amazing.
The chemistry was just crazy. And they were all having so much fun.
And it didn't have to go that way, right? We were strangers in a strange land. Simone Pereira-Hind, who was the casting director, didn't know us at all. And she just hopped on a Zoom call. It was pouring down rain in Inverness on our end. And we were like pretty depressed because we didn't know how to make the movie. And she was like, well, what about this huge sheet of incredible stars to do the puppet voices?
We're like, what?
Yeah. And then she was like, what about Eddie Izzard for the sheep? And then we fell down on the floor in the kitchen.
I think I screamed.
And screamed.
Yeah,
so anyway, that went a lot better than we were anticipating, Rusty.
And they actually, they really liked each other. There were nights where they would text us and be like, hey, we're all going to get together and have a whiskey. Can you join us? And we were like, no, we're producers.
It's COVID. We can't.
It's COVID. We're working on emails till 2 a.m. But it was so nice to know that they were having such a good time on set.
Let's do the dark side.
Dark side.
Likewise, was there anything about making the film that unexpectedly bummed you out? Things that might have been particularly challenging that you thought would be simple, straightforward. I know I have one for this. We're going to keep it
2 or
very
3.
PG here. Yeah. Basically, the whole experience was great. Let's just say that. It's still continuing to be great. There were some things that were very, very challenging. We won't cover them all here. I will say that the thing that almost killed us before we even got the cameras rolling was just the visa process as a creative going to the UK. Tami's a UK citizen. It was easy, but she wanted me and Maya, our daughter, to be in the film. And getting that visa was it was a horrible experience.
This is how crazy it was. We asked for an expedited visa. We paid all this money.
It was also during the pandemic, right?
But it was during the pandemic, and so everything was slowed down. And we left New York because all filming had shut down in New York because of the pandemic. So we were like, okay, we'll go to Scotland where they're still filming. Then we get to Scotland and they shut down filming because it's the pandemic. So then we wait for months and months. Then we do this difficult visa process, supposed to be expedited for a month, took 3 months. We showed up 10 days before cameras started rolling.
We got out of quarantine the Friday before cameras rolled on Monday. We had to have the first read-through of the movie with the actual cast on Zoom.
Yeah. So that was challenging. It was scary. We were almost going to miss the first day of filming.
Just because they didn't want to have the people who were actually making the film just have a visa. It was very strange.
Wait, and I have to say one more challenging thing about the pandemic.
They did do good things for us too, the UK.
Oh, fantastic. No, but so we had crowd scenes, and we hadn't considered this. We were like, you know what, we're going to shoot through the pandemic anyway. And we sort of tried to think of all the problems that we could incur about that. And there were advantages. We got access to castles we wouldn't have normally. So we did this analysis and we said, we're going to go for it. But crowd scenes, you had to do COVID protocols. So each person had to be 6 feet apart from
Yeah.
the other person. So you're trying to make a crowd.
So the villagers of the Contented Kingdom they don't like being
Spread out.
It's like a little Scandinavian, they're not like close talker
So
people.
with camera and trying, I think we got away with it.
Yeah, it looks
but
great.
The pandemic made crowd scenes hard.
Yeah. Okay. So Rusty has one more question. We'll finish Rusty's question. Did y'all get a sense of how everyone else felt about the process? We were the producers and the stars of the film.
Everybody else had a lot of fun.
It's a little bit hard also to know whether everyone is being real with us.
No, I think.
But we think they had a good time.
We were the most stressed. I think we were the most stressed.
Yes.
We were definitely the ones who were the most serious.
Yeah.
And everybody
still
else. And everybody else was having a good time.
We think the crew specifically said to us on the final day of shooting, this is the most fun they've had on a set. That was like an awesome thing. That's largely due to Michael Hines and the environment he created. The actors had an incredible time working together. They had just a blast, and they are still like on a WhatsApp group together. Yeah. So we think that people had a really nice time. Next question is from Kim Parker. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
How's it going? When can we expect to see the second trailer? Aha, I have already seen the second trailer. I actually saw it today. I've seen the second cut of the second trailer, which Slice Collective sent us this week.
And we're giving notes to them, and then we have one more round of notes, and then we're done with notes. So
but
very
here's
soon.
The thing,
very
Ken.
soon.
If I tell you when you will see the trailer, you will be able to put two and two together and figure out when we are actually releasing the film, and then the PR people will kill me. So I can't tell you when you will see the trailer.
But I think we should release the trailer early for Patreon.
We're working on it. It's coming soon. The trailer, I promise you, you will see soon.
Yes. Yes.
And the movie also
But
soon.
The questions were there any references?
Oh yeah,
to
the second question
story?
is, were there any references to the Neverending
So
Story in the
one.
movie? Well, so the first reference to the Neverending Story in the film is Tami Stronach is back, right? So that's awesome. And some of the lines that she has, if you listen very carefully, are definitely shout outs to her role in the film. If you really know the Neverending Story, you will, I think, laugh out loud a couple of times when she says stuff, I think. And then we put a ton of Easter eggs in the film. Yeah. It was like, we wanted it to be like an 80s style film, and I don't even know how many we put in there. They were almost unconscious because we just love 80s
What
films.
I will say,
but yes, there are many.
Just for you guys, we couldn't have, there's no dragon in the film.
There's no dragon in the film.
Except if you look very carefully, because there was no dragon in the film.
We put a luck dragon in it.
There's little dragons. Should I say where? Or
no,
should we just let them
we're not
find
saying
it?
where. So you have to go look for them.
In unexpected tiny places.
There's at least one Falcor in the film.
Yes.
So you're going to have to find an image, find him.
Yeah, and if you can't find it, then we'll tell you.
Yeah, we'll have an Easter egg hunt when the film comes out. That'll be super fun. Okay, those are great questions. Thank you so much for those questions. Okay, now we're going to go to the UK, I believe. Edward Whittingham has a great question, which is a deep and difficult and awesome question.
Okay.
Was there an idea, a sensation, or some other feature that you wanted above all else to capture in the film? So this is a big one for me because I wrote the movie. But why don't you take that first, Tam, and I'll say a little bit more about it.
I'm just going to talk about the witch's hut, because for me, that space was really, really important, and I worked really hard with the designer closely on kind of that space. It's not Harry Potter. We didn't get 2,000 revisions, but we did, really want to make that space kind of magical and beautiful. And I just pulled things from my daily life into it. So one of the things, which will just for you guys, is my mom was kind of just a wonderful, very interesting, wild woman. And she was very intellectual. And when she would get excited by an idea, in her bedroom, she read so many books. She would simply write something on the wall. She'd be like, ah, and just write it on the wall. And as a kid, I was just like, what, paper? What is happening, And so we stole that, and I asked the designer to incorporate that into the witch's hut. So it's a really, it's a beautiful, warm, magical space. But if you look at the walls, you'll see writing on there, and that's taken from my life. And I just feel like, yeah, that's kind of how to make art feel more resonant is when you pull threads from your life and they kind of weave into this magical fictional story. So that's, for me, a feeling that I really wanted in The Hut.
Yeah, so there's no way to spin this. This is a deeply, deeply personal film. It's a fantasy film, and it looks like a fantasy film, and it's weird to have a deeply personal film about a kingdom that's plagued by ogres, but that's what this is. So, you know, for me on the writing side and also just sort of understanding it as a producer, I was looking to understand and see in the capture the idea in the film that love is something that is very much beyond your control. Love is not something that you choose always. Love sometimes chooses you. And that's true for a lot of different ways in the film. And I'm really, really proud of the way that we capture that in the film. There's obviously a lot of personal Greg and Tami stuff in the movie. If you know us really well, you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe they put that in the movie. So there's that. But beyond that, just in terms of what everyone experiences when they have that feeling of love, which I hope everyone experiences, you know, it's not something that you choose, it chooses you. And I think that that's like a really powerful theme because it's more powerful than we are, which is something I really, really love.
And I think the final thing is, you know, there's something about the fact that the characters aren't perfect. They're flawed people.
I was literally trying to be perfect.
And flawed people deserve love too. And the production isn't perfect. You know, it isn't like the gajillion-dollar production, but that inside of something that's handmade, that's worn, that has heart, that there's value and beauty there. So
well, and sometimes the most compelling thing is just commitment. The person that you fall in love with is just more committed, and that's an amazing idea too. So I think you need that as a filmmaker. You know, like as an indie filmmaker making a fantasy film, which you're not supposed to do as an indie filmmaker.
Yeah.
For your first film. This was supposed to be a short film, by the way. It's now a feature film. You have to have a commitment unlike anything that you've ever experienced before. Marriage is like that, and that's kind of what the movie's about. All right, those are our Ask Me Anythings for this week. If other patrons have more questions, we will do more videos.
Ask us more
This
stuff.
is probably like a 6-hour video, but you know, it's okay. We're good. We hope you enjoyed some of the answers. Please keep them coming. We have a lot to say about the film now that we can finally talk about the film,
yeah, it's
which
kind
is
of
really
exciting.
nice.
We're like, blah, blah, blah.
We'll talk to you again soon. Keep those questions coming. We really look forward to all the things that you're curious about. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.